part of today's our topic that bringing personal transformation through Vedic philosophy is to first understand that this is even a possibility. Because this is where people are struggling.
So to address your first question, the Vedic philosophy been going on continuously for millennia until there was a split. Because many modern people will say there is nothing, no power in rituals. Every day we are doing rituals. Ritual appeals to our body. Your intention is most important because you can never have perfect action. There was a deliberate effort to stop these spiritual practices and religious practices, but just because you stop doing something for a period of time, you don't forget that.
That's why I want you to take her question to the next level.
So I'll answer it two ways.
Looks like what you shared about Vedic philosophy, the crux of it, it's amazingly powerful, and I have seen that actually sharing before, because seeing the results for people. So it has a lot of potential, right, in terms of what it can bring for the modern generation. It's not something just for the sake of it, but it has a lot of practicality, and we have to really explore that first before deciding if it's useful or not for us, right? Because everything in today's world, we want something that is useful for us, right? So from that perspective as well, it's just powerful. Recently, I have had one experience, not experience I would say, but just understanding or aha moment where I met my college friend after years. And as I was talking to her, she was also going through a lot of spiritual and positive experiences where she gets the benefit of the practices of meditation and healing and Reiki and like all sort of things, right? So both of us shared our own experiences and we connected, and I told her, why don't you meet Nivedita to get more clarity as far as your purpose is considered, because it looks like you're in a good place, but not very good understanding of why you're even born. Like, you should understand what is your main purpose, because you're not fully satisfied in your work, the regular job you're doing, and at the same time you're exploring and you have a deep need of healing, right? So there was some commonality there, and so she took a session with Nivedita, and she gave wonderful feedback and her experience after the session. A lot of details there, but which I can share later. But the crux of it was as if Nivedita knew, Nivedita doesn't know about her, but she gave her information as far as her purpose and her whatever the current situation and everything, and that made her believe in something that she was not believing before. Then she also took our recent Navratri program that we were conducting. So in order to tell you that she is coming from a background where she tells me, she used to tell this before, that she is spiritual but not religious, okay? And this is what most of us, like the people from India, the Hindus, especially living in US, they talk like this, right? So she was also like that only, right? But after taking the Navratri program, with Nivedita, she called me and she told me, Ragini, after years and years, I'm like feeling this not need, but feeling that, why I don't do the puja. The simple thing like puja, daily puja as Hindus we do, right? Most of us, we do some sort of practice, right? As further to follow, the daily, like a process, which we do. So people would be familiar with that. But she was like, okay, it's okay to just, in your mind, just bow down and say thank you, whatever. That's what she used to do. But not following any ritual sort of for doing the puja, right? Because she felt like there are a lot of fears associated with that maybe. And so, that's, but after the session, she told me that, now I want to do puja. Like, can Nivedita tell me how to do puja? It looks like very silly and simple and I don't know what, but something shifted in just matter of 9 days of understanding, and that knowledge what Nivedita was sharing in those sessions comes from the Vedic philosophy of understanding the divine feminine, right? That was the Navratri is about the goddess and divine feminine. How can we awaken the Shakti within? And there are a lot of rituals there and a lot of practices she did that made her think that all this while she was trying to learn concepts, through the books and a lot of philosophies coming from the West and trying to get the crux of the spirituality. But when she did this 9-day program, she understood that this is also talking about exactly the similar kind of concepts and philosophies. Even this is more in depth, right? That was her take because she has done both, right? The Western philosophy of the energy healing and the mind body connection and the various techniques that is more common there, right? And so yeah, so this was her take, and she's from Varanasi, the oldest city, and holds a lot of what you call significance as far as the Hinduism,
Epicenter,
as per the religion is considered from that aspect, right? So her question was that why she and I want to ask this because this might be relevant for many other people. So coming to My Positivity Matters, going through this transformation where almost being like non-religious, she used to tell me this. She accepted and she told me this after the 9 days of Navratri session that Ragini, now I want to call that I am religious proudly. This is what her words were, right? That now I feel like I want to be called as religious. Something changed, right? Because we had so many misconceptions and so many, the negative associations with these things, because that has happened, right? All this while. So that's why I want you to take her question to the next level, where she was asking that, so I'm from Varanasi, she said, and all this, what is the connection that I'm from Varanasi, but deeply interested about spirituality to learn from the Western side, from the West philosophy point of view, and learning. And now at this point, what is this whole story like? Why it's even like that?
So I'll answer it two ways. One is a practical historical fact, which is that the Vedic philosophy has been, that's why it's called Sanatana, at least in India, been going on continuously for millennia, not just hundreds of years, millennia, until about last 500-600 years, where India was colonized by different people from different religion. And so there came a small break, and which widened with time until about 150 years ago, the colonization of India, where the Western model of education was imposed on the local people. And when I say imposed, it's not like it was all bad, because modern science and renaissance from the European world has helped the entire world. But if it had been just that, it won't be a problem. There was a deliberate effort to stop these spiritual practices and religious practices, because Hinduism is also a way of life. It's not just a religion as per the Abrahamic or the Western concept. So it's a way of life. So there was a split. But as we know, that memory is just because you stop doing something for a period of time, you don't forget that. So what happens is, the last 150 years, Indian education system was diverted towards a Western. You need a stamp of approval from the Western world. So everything else that others were doing for thousands of years was suddenly put on a back burner and then said, this is archaic, this is unscientific. But actually, lately a lot of experiments are being done by scientists and philosophers of the Western world. And if you look at even extremely well-known scientists, whether it is Einstein or whether philosophers and poets of the Western world, they have been inspired by the Vedas. If you look at read their biographies and autobiographies, they were inspired by it. So that is the practical answer, that why the need to get a Western approval for these kind of practices. Now, I'll give you a story why she wants to reconnect with these energies. From a story from the Puranas, from the mythology in Vedantic coaching. This is what I would tell if somebody would come into my class, into a session, into a coaching session. There was this rishi, as I said, these are Vedic philosophers who have mastered their mind and the powers of manifestation. And while they were meditating, one bird was carrying a little baby mouse, a mouse. and it dropped into the lap of the rishi. And the rishi opened his eyes and looked at this poor little thing struggling to survive and wanted to adopt this being, this animal. Gave it, and by their powers of manifestation, gave it a human form. And he and his wife, who did not have any children, raised this mouse, now turned into a beautiful girl, as their own daughter. And when the time came for the daughter to marry, as a mother, she wanted the best groom for her daughter. So she comes to the rishi and said, you are this powerful person who can bring anybody. The gods come at your, the clicking of your hand, the gods appear in front of you. Can you find her the most powerful and the best husband? So the rishi said, absolutely. So he goes to and that day, the sun was the most powerful thing anybody could think of. So he goes to the sun god and said, will you marry my daughter? And the sun god says, yes, absolutely, because a rishi of that stature is asking. So, but when the sun god looks at the girl, she's, a modest girl that she is, her head was bowed, and he could tell that she didn't want to marry him. But she was too modest to tell her parents. So the sun god said, look, I am okay to marry your daughter. I'm all right. I would love to. But I am not the most powerful person. The most powerful person is the rain clouds. Because, look at my power. If the rain cloud comes, the sun gets overcast. So why don't you go and talk to the rain god? So Rishi said, yeah, you have a point. So he goes to the rain god and says, will you marry my daughter? He says, yes, but he looks at the girl and realizes the girl doesn't want to marry him. So he says, of course I would marry. Your wish is my command. But rain cloud is not the most powerful force. Who is the most powerful force? The mountain. Because the rain clouds, when it hits the mountain, it has to rain. I cannot cross a mountain. So why don't you ask the mountain god? So the rishi says, you have a point. Let me go to the mountain god. So he says, goes to the mountain. And he says, will you marry my daughter? He says, of course, I would love to. But he also realized the girl doesn't want to marry him. So she says, I would love to marry you, but how powerful is a mountain? All the rat and mice that sit under a, furrow and dig under the mountain can collapse. Why don't you ask the king of the mouse? And when he went and talked to the king and the mouse, the girl was very happy. Why? Because there was a connection. You may have become a human being, but inside you, there is a programming that recognizes. When she saw the mouse, she recognized, this is my true nature. So all the people who, especially if you've grown up in Banaras or Varanasi, the longest known city, continuous city, and the epicenter of Hinduism, everybody may have restricted your access to that information, but you pick up things from the environment. Right? That is what COVID was all about. How important the environment is by osmosis. So when you hear these words authentically, not through a medium of power, not to control you, not to make you follow something blindly, something gets triggered inside you. This sounds good. This feels good. And coming back to rituals, because many modern people will say there is no power in rituals. Every day we are doing rituals. When you go to corporate America, you follow a certain set of rituals. You cannot wear your beachwear and go to corporate America. You cannot, do certain things. There is a handshake ritual. There is you need to sign in ritual. You need to be allowed inside. All these are rituals. But in a social gathering, there are rituals.
Like a process kind of a thing.
There's a process. System. You have to wait for an invite. Can you just gate crash anybody's party? That's not the ritual of socializing. And when you go to somebody's house, there's a ritual. You ask for a drink or you can't just open people's places. So ritual appeals to our body. It is a repetitive action that makes us feel safe because it gives us certainty and predictability. So, and again,
that is how we are programmed. Right?
Yes. And why rituals are important? You can study science. Somebody can teach you everything. But unless you've spent a few days or weeks or months or years in a lab, how do you bring that knowledge to see whether water and hydrogen get into H2O? The hydrogen molecules and oxygen molecules, when they get together, how they create water, how you can understand that. But how will you see it? So rituals are that. You can hear about Purusha and Prakriti and Brahman and divine feminine and divine masculine and prospect. But show me where is the money? Show me the money. If you don't do the ritual, you can't see the money. If you don't do the meditation, you cannot see the Shiva. You don't do the Hanuman practices, you cannot master your mind. Where is the practice?
What is that you want? You need to
Yes,
do
that
some
is the
actions.
rituals.
Yeah.
So wanting to do the puja is connecting at the body level and bringing all your understanding to bear upon your 3D reality.
Yeah.
I want prosperity. I want to use the model of archetype prosperity, which is the goddess Lakshmi. Lakshya is your root word is Lakshya. Lakshmi comes from Lakshya, your purpose. You can only be prosperous when you're following your purpose. You cannot be prosperous following somebody else's purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then once you've understood that, now how do you find out what is your purpose? How do you follow this? Then you look at her image and the clues are there.
Yeah.
How is she constructed by the rishis? So when you want to create water, you can't put any elements together to create water. The scientists have told you H2O. Hydrogen molecules, water molecules in this proportion, then only you'll get water. Likewise with prosperity, likewise with mastery, likewise with anything. So rituals actually show you how to do it. So there's nothing wrong in rituals, but only caveat I have for people is when you do it blindly, without understanding, it's very limiting and fearful because you're always.
You don't know. There's a lot of unknowns, right?
And you saw in our that 9-day thing, how many questions will this go wrong? Will that go wrong?
Yeah.
If I do,
It's all
because you've
fear-based.
never understood.
That's a conditioning.
That is the conditioning. So then you cannot do it out of fear, but you cannot completely throw fear out the window and be irreverential, because in a lab, if you mix the wrong chemicals, there can be an explosion.
Yeah.
So, but there should not be any fear. Do it with a desire to learn, to follow. And then you realize those rituals, very rituals, how empowering they are. Then you know you can create whatever
What
you
if
want.
people make some mistake in those rituals? Because that is what the conditioning is, that if you make mistakes,
Yes.
this or this can happen. The good things can also happen and bad things also can happen. Like this is what the fear,
Absolutely.
in the...
So yes, even in this world of science, what happens is in the beginning, you don't let a child into a chemistry lab by themselves.
Yeah.
You need a coach or a guru. But a person who's not putting fear into somebody, but telling them follow rules. But after a while, you are left to experiment on your own. The topmost scientists, who's teaching them? They're experimenting. So in the spiritual or personal field, what happens is your intention is most important, because you can never have perfect action.
Yeah.
So it is my experience that when your intention is perfect, because that's the only thing that can be perfect, even when there are mistakes in your action, the results are not catastrophic. That can be something that you will constantly be fine-tuning and working to see that it works for you or not.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, oh my God, this went wrong, this is terrible, horrible, you say, okay, this didn't work, it did not give the result I was expecting. What can I do differently? Not what did I do wrongly.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted this, either I got it or I didn't get it, or I got some portion of it. Now going back and consulting with somebody without fear that you're being penalized. You're not being penalized. Mm-hmm. So there is a hierarchical growth. First, you cannot start doing every rituals on your own without any basic understanding. That is where a guru or a coach is very important. Yeah. But at some point, the guru or coach will not have done their job properly if that person keeps coming back to you for every question.
Yeah, and also, like you said, starting or maybe doing something with the fear aspect.
Yes.
That starting itself is going to be a problem, because you're now operating out of fear, right?
Yes.
And so that even if it was meant to give a good result, it's going to be not doing so much, because now it's a fear energy is there.
Yeah.
Because so fear anyway is not going to serve, right? In both the cases.
Because again, you've heard me say this, multiple times, that what we feel is what we attract.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly feeling fear, you're being triggered and driven by fear. Yeah. So you can only attract things in that frequency. You talked about your friend saying that even though I didn't know her, I could tell so many things about her. How do you think that was possible? Mm-hmm. Because when you are in the same frequency, you tend to see everything the same way. Now, there are two ways frequency work. If you're fearful and ignorant, you can pull somebody down to your frequency, And if you're in the presence of somebody who is more aware, they can pull you up to their frequency.
So it's whose intensity is more.
It's a frame control.
It's a frame.
Either I control your fear, alleviate your fear, or you bring me down to your fear. That's that's how finding the right coach.
Your circle, your coach, your
Yes.
surroundings.
Absolutely.
That is all is very critical.
And that is why, even though a religion like Buddhism, which is considered Gnostic in the sense they don't believe in God as such, as the modern or the popular concept of God.
They don't believe in like Vedas as such.
Yeah, but even there, the Buddha, what is the three basic canons? Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. There should be a coach, a guru. Dhammam, there must be a content, a scripture or some knowledge. And Sangam. You need the environment. So you need the knowledge, you need somebody to interpret it for you, teach you, and you need an environment or a group to practice it in.
Yes.
All three are necessary. Buddha did not say just come to me and forget about everything.
Yeah.
He said, I can teach you, but you will practice in your group.
So this is for people, like this message is very important. Like many people who are aspirants, they want to progress further in spirituality. They want to be their best version. They want to explore these dimensions. But at the same time, they might be having the friend circle who are not into this, and they are more into like, and nothing bad here. I'm not judging, I'm not saying anything like that, but they might, their goals are different, They want to enjoy, they want to be in like parties and clubs and, like fashion and all sort of different goals, right? They would have.
Yeah.
So, but if these people who are interested to explore spirituality and, be their best version, if they are constantly in that circle will have the power to pull them down, right? So that is why it is important to find your circle, right? Wherever you want, based on that, you have that circle, because that is going to elevate you and help you to achieve your goals, right?
And the important thing you said is, I want to just say a few words about this. In any puja or any ritual or any form of worship in Vedic, tradition and culture, the goal is twofold: sukha and shanti, comfort and peace of mind. These are inversely related to each other. And the purpose of all these rituals, all this understanding, is to come to a happy medium. Because if there's too much comfort, if the comfort goes up, the peace of mind will go down, believe it or not. And if there's too much peace, the comfort has to go down.
Yeah.
So how to balance it? So like you said, partying and socializing and working and creating wealth and enjoying life, nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But if that's all you do, you will lose your peace of mind.
Yeah.
But if you only do spirituality, you will not have the comforts. And some people don't want to give it up. Why should they give it up?
Why they should?
So why not do both, where you can balance these two to the equation that is comfortable for you?
Yeah, I mean, I have this experience where I have realized that, when I have a lot of things to do, which is out of my comfort zone, and I have to work hard and do things. At the same time, you want to really enjoy, watch movies, do something that you really like. But while doing those things, for example, I'm watching movie right now. I mean, I want to watch movie because I just want to. At the same time, I'm feeling some discomfort there. Like you said, like not having the peace while you're enjoying the movie. You're enjoying the movie also. But at the same time, peace element is not there. So now I got the reason that they're both like how it's related, right?
And not only that, see, we are talking about Vedic philosophy, child rearing.
Yeah.
So modern parents want to make their child's life completely foolproof. They will never suffer, never want. Everything will be provided. What are you giving them? Comfort. What are you taking away from them? Peace of mind. Because now they have this imposter syndrome. Now they're dependent on you because you never taught them the survival skills.
Right.
If you had held back on that comfort, they will know that they have it within them. They don't need the parents to create their life. Yeah. Parents are there as an insurance. So you can bring Vedic philosophy to even child rearing.
Yeah. So it's all about, like, I feel that because of, our experiences, if you go through the challenges, you don't want your kid to go through them, right? This is what out of compassion we do. But actually, in a way, it's like detrimental, right? It's not going to serve the kid because now you're taking away what you've got. Because your challenges, your failures have taught you so that you became what you become what you are right now.
Exactly.
Right?
Your failures helped you to
help
become
to
who you
become-
are.
Yeah, they're the stepping stones, right?
Yes,
For us.
yes.
So I think that is what we're taking away indirectly from the kids, for
Exactly.
the future generations. It doesn't have to be all rosy and perfect and taking away any of the challenges, right? The way a lot of child, and on Instagram, I keep hearing that can't do this to the kid, can't do this to the kid. Making sure that you don't even talk harshly, little bit also you can't raise your voice and all of those kind of things,
Yes.
as if like making them. But the world is not like that. You can give that comfort within your house, but as soon as they move to the even school also, right? Many times you can have other kids who would come across as a strong, the kids, and you face those situations. Right?
Yes.
At that time, you won't be able to understand what to do. You'll panic. The kid will panic,
Yeah,
right?
and
They'll
then-
go in depression. So who will handle that, right, later?
There's this thing we say, poor little rich kid. How many celebrities' children are so unhappy, so depressed, and so lost? And so many kids from less, fortunate backgrounds with less material success and money they know who they are. They have a sense of belonging. They don't have the comforts of life. Nobody can say which is better, you need both. You
Yeah.
need the comfort and you need the peace.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way how best to balance these two things. You cannot do it one at the cost of the other, because we have a body that craves comfort and we have a mind that craves peace,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You have to bring both of them together.
Yes. Perfect. Really nice, Nivedita. And I think this topic is very interesting. I mean, all of this segment. But now we would like to go to the next segment where, coming to the practical aspect of it. Because, okay, so Vedic philosophy is powerful. It has a lot of potential. Areas where we need to really introspect and understand it, have a deeper understanding, but why, right? Like, so come to the next segment where, like, what is a practical use of it? And I briefly shared in the beginning how I have seen personally when I talk to people and witness their journey of personal growth. And like in a matter of 8 weeks, Nivedita, it almost looks like magic to me, because these are deep issues. For example, somebody for 18 years, going through massive depression, anger issues, and other mental health issues, but their friend circle, they don't know, right, that even this person is going through these kind of issues. She's on medication and she comes and takes this coaching, 8 weeks of Vedic coaching from Nivedita. And when I talk to her towards end, I see that because of Nivedita's coaching, she was able to quit the medicines. Think about it, because this is not easy. Many people, when they are on meds because of the mental health issues, it's almost impossible to get rid of that and to be able to quit that. It's very difficult. So I'm not saying one should not take the medicines and treat it. That's something obviously very, very important, right, to do that. But what you did in these kind of situations, what happens? So, and there are other stories, but let's talk about, because mental health is one of the major issues that the humanity is facing because of several issues, and one of the most contributory factors that is causing this mental health issues is the social media. I feel personally, if you spend even 15, 20, 30 minutes your time on Instagram Reels or Shorts on YouTube, I feel the change, when I watch those, because the way that is being created, there are scientists, there are people who work on these products and find a way that how can we make these, the tools, the platforms so addictive, right?
Yeah.
So that the people are not able to leave that. Right? There are research teams that they want to hack your brain. They want to hack and find a system so that you're more glued and spending endless hours on that. And people like who meditate, I meditate regularly. So I see, I feel the difference, because when you meditate, how you're feeling, how is your mental health, that point, I mean, the mind, the mental condition. And when you consume content on social media, in the matter of 30 minutes, how you feel is a switch, complete, upside down you are. So obviously these things consistently, when we keep doing again and again and people are not even meditating, they're not even countering with certain positive, what you call practices, right? Spiritual practices. All we are doing is consuming content from social media, seeing other people, enjoying their life and constantly being in the outward, right? In the outer world, right? You're not trying to put any effort to go inward and trying to find the peace within and all of those things. So yeah, so like coming back to the point where the mental health is there are other contribute factors as well that are hampering and causing mental health issues right now. What is your take on that? First of all, addressing the mental health issues, like you'd like to elaborate a little bit more, and also how your coaching, the example that I gave for the client who came and she was able to quit the medicines, of the depression. So how do you do that, like with Vedic philosophy?
Like you correctly said, mental health is not is not something to be lightly taken care of.
Yeah.
We need medication, we need therapy, we need proper medical guidance, and but that is to stabilize a situation.
Yeah.
It will not eradicate it and eliminate it.
Symptom management.
Yes.
Yeah.
So once you do that, once you are in a position, because if you don't even take the medication and the therapy, you won't be in a position to understand Vedic coaching. So before doing Vedic coaching, it is important that you take your medications, important that you go to your therapist or whatever it is to to bring it, to manage it to a certain level. And then when you come for Vedic coaching, what happens is you realize that like you gave the example of social media. Whether it is TV or social, these are all programs. It programs your mind.
Yeah.
Right? So the antidote to programming is deprogramming. So somebody or something has taken over your mind, your decision making.
Yes.
And your joy is outside reference, other reference. What others are telling you will give you joy. It's not self-referenced anymore.
Yeah.
This is where a Hanuman workshop will step in and tell you that you got to master your mind. Your mind has, and for this Vedic philosophy, you have to go deep into, we talk about mind as mind. Mind has 4 components. There is a manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. So when we talk about the mind in the modern ordinary language, we're talking about the thinking mind, okay, the feeling mind. That has 2 polar opposite. One is the sensory organs, which are constantly pulling it to the outside world, and one is the intellect, buddhi, which is pulling it back to the internal world. So you must know these different aspects of the mind. You must know when you can at will go out and enjoy, and at will come back home. And that is the another Vedic story, a Puranic story I'll tell you, or a metaphor, an example that will explain this better. In India, when they catch monkeys, poach monkeys from the forest to sell and do other things, circus and what have you, what they do is they take a glass jar and put it in the forest, in a wooded area, put some bananas into it, and monkeys get attracted to it. They come and take the bananas and they eat day in, day out, and they're doing it. After a while, they are in the process of taking the banana and they see the poacher is coming. The monkey has 2 choices. Can drop the banana and go. Poacher cannot touch it. But the greed and the dependence on this banana is so deep that it's trying that I can just get the banana out, I can leave. In the process, the poacher comes, gets them. Same with us. When we are enjoying social media, no problem. But when you realize it's making you feel bad, can you drop it at will? No.
Yeah.
When you are socializing and you come back and you compare yourself to what others have and you don't have, then can you drop it? No. When you're eating and you're enjoying the food and then it's causing disease, can you drop it? No. When you love somebody, they give you joy. After a while, they're hurting you. Can you remove yourself from them? No. Where is the independence? You're programmed.
Yeah.
That's where the depression is. So
now you're at the mercy of other people.
Mercy of other people and
Other
things,
companies, organizations.
programs, things, people, conditioning.
Companies.
So when you go back to Vedanta, it's like Hanuman. I have to activate the Hanuman, the mastery that I see the poacher coming, I'll drop the banana, bye-bye, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Which poacher can catch me? Which program can catch me?
Yeah, that's a sense of freedom.
That's what Vedanta says, that it doesn't say don't go and enjoy. But when it is not helping you, when it is on the contrary, forget about helping you, making you feel bad, do you have the power to drop it? If you don't,
I think in that moment, at least I feel privileged. Like I feel happy that I'm at least aware.
Yes.
That okay, that there is something that is changing now, shifting in my feelings and my mental condition. Because now the way I'm feeling now, right? Because I'm so aware in that moment. Most of the people are not even aware, especially the young generation, the youth. They are in that zone completely, and like losing in that process, right? So what they can do, because see these the young generation, do we have something for them to?
The young generation, every human being has inside him or her or anybody the desire for nothing short of complete power, complete joy, and complete liberation can give you that feeling. So they are looking for it in the form of drugs, short-term things. They're looking for it in terms of relationships. They're looking for it in terms of money. And none of these things have complete ability to give you joy. So now, but they are in the midst of this environment, in the midst of reality and people, and they have to navigate through people and situations. This is where a mythology really comes in important. That giving the highest ethical values a human face, whether it is Ram and Sita, whether it is Krishna, whether it is Arjuna, and every culture has its own. But Vedic philosophy, now it becomes Hinduism because it takes a cultural perspective. The names and the stories are built under a certain cultural environment. But I tell people, you can remove the names, but those archetypes are eternal.
Take the qualities.
The qualities, the traits, the morals, the formulas. You can give it a different name. You don't have to call it Arjuna. Because each of them, the name may sound like an ordinary name. They actually have a
deeper meaning.
Much deeper significance. Arjuna is that who has a straightforward goal. It's like an athlete. Me, the ball and the goal, they don't see anything else. If you want happiness, if you want freedom, you must be able to, what is that straight path to it? I will not get distracted by these things. Then each of those characters have a trait. If you understand, you can apply it. You need not be a Hindu. You need not be a man or a woman. These are traits, high ethical values that once you understand, that's the beauty. For every situation, there is a story. And that's where the power of Vedic coaching comes, because which other place or which other philosophy can back it up with this number of stories? Every situation.
So I think stories are there to help us understand. Otherwise, it will become very complicated to understand.
Exactly.
And once you understand, then only you can apply it, right? And
then you see it in your mind's eye. For instance, I can just tell you a recipe. You have not written it, you have not done anything, and versus you come to my kitchen and I'm cooking it. The stories do that. So this is a situation, here is a father, here is a mother, here are the children, here are the siblings, here are the detractors, here are the rivals. How it can play out in a myriad ways. If you do this, it will end up like this. If you do this, it will end up like this. You choose which one you like.
So stories are very, very important and
very powerful.
Very powerful.
Very powerful. Because if
the only thing is how you conclude, right? Like in terms of there are different people and you can have different ways of putting the lessons and different perspective and all. You can make it like very literal as well. At the same time, you can just get the crux of it in a way that's more practical. And so I think that's around that. I mean, instead of fighting that, about the religious thing that all we are the best and our gods are best and our stories, whatever, Bhagwan Ram is the best and most powerful and that is only he is the only one. all of those things. Rather than that, we should just focus on getting the story and start applying that in your day-to-day life. If we do that, then we can make our home better place. At the same time, if you do at the community level, our community can be better. If you do at the country level, our country and the world ultimately.
Yeah.
That is the whole idea, that to apply that in our lives.
So instead of being stuck on the nationality of the archetypes, like Jesus is from a certain place, Ram is from a certain place, Prophet is from Muhammad from a certain place. If you strip them to their essential quality, that can be applied to everybody. If you can do that, any religion can give you that answer. But Vedic means, Sanatana means there is such a thing that you must aspire for. And they have given these stories. And what most people do is they read the stories and they reject it at the surface level because it doesn't make sense to the modern mind. Their concept of man, women, and responsibilities of parents and children. But that's where a deep study, which takes decades. I can't give you a book tomorrow where you will learn all the stories without understanding, because then the philosophy you must have read. Mythology is a step down. You must know the essence before you know the mythology.
Because then only you can relate.
Then only you can, exactly.
The philosophy and then hear the story, then you can connect both of them.
How many times?
Otherwise, you're just in the story, doesn't make any logical sense to you.
Yes, so in Ram Sita example, they say, so the wife must always listen to the husband. That's what they believe it. Not understanding Sita stands for the fluctuating mind. And Ram stands for that awareness principle. Now, fluctuating mind has to listen to the awareness. It's not the man and it is not the Indian god. It's that awareness that must control your mind going out wherever and coming back. So once you strip it to its essential quality, then anybody from any religion, from any part of the world can relate to it. That's why it is not just for Hindus, Vedic coaching.
Okay. So coming back to that success story, like specific points would you give, like considering an example, like many people would be going through depression and anxiety and maybe on meds or something. Like, so we can give a little bit more.
Yes. So the fact is, this particular client you're talking about was driven by what was expected of her. She was never allowed to understand who she was, what she wants. It's always living by somebody else's expectation. And until you find out, and this is where the Varna Ashrama came in handy. So in Hinduism, again, a lot of people are misunderstanding Varna as caste. Varna is not caste, it is not hereditary. In one family, there can be all Varnas of people. In one person, the Varna fluctuates, but there is a predominant Varna. Varna is a tendency or a predisposition. Once you understand that, you can control him. The most depression comes is, and I've said this, given this example several times. If you go to the whale, the most majestic creature of the ocean, and say, you cannot fly, poor you. How depressed that whale will be. And it'll try to fly. Every day fail miserably. And getting worse and worse. Until it realized I was never meant to fly. Why should I even try to fly? Can you swim? Like me? That's where the depression turns around. Then why should I be somebody I'm not meant to be? Now that's one aspect of it. And then there is an ashrama, meaning there are stages in life. The first two stages everybody is following in modern society, which is brahmacharya, acquisition of knowledge, grihastha, enjoying life, socializing, marriage and jobs and everything. The next two stages nobody is considering, which is vanaprastha. At some point, you have to step back. That nobody is teaching in today's schools and colleges and homes. That till the age of 100, whatever you are doing at 30 or 40, you will continue to do. That's not possible. You liked cotton candy when you were 12 years old. Now for dessert, if you come to my house and I say I have cotton candy for you, will you like it? You wouldn't, right?
No.
So you were able to eat heavy, cheesy things at age 45, 50. A 90-year-old, I'll give you a cheesy thing. Can you digest it? No. Same with the thoughts. So at a certain period, it's not that you can't do it. There are higher ways of living to honor your body and mind. And in the beginning, you are at the mercy of everybody, society and family. In the middle, you are the one controlling. Then comes a time you step back and you go back to a little bit of that hermit mode where you go within, where the loneliness, they don't understand the difference between solitude and lonely. Solitude, you must look forward to spending time with yourself and finding, I have come alone, I'll go alone. Why am I so afraid of spending time with myself? The one person who's always with me is me. And yet I would rather spend time with everybody except me. So that fear of loneliness, instead of looking to, this is my time. And at some point, not every, the fourth stage is not for everybody.
The older generation that you're talking about, just wanted to, because I recently went to India and I'm seeing this trend where most of the people after their retirement, both male and female, I mean in India, not only in India, here also, but they're just glued to the phone. I think in fact, more than the adults, more than other generations, the older generation, they have more time and they are more addicted to the phones. And I think that is also another, factor that is leading to loneliness, because ultimately you're getting depressed with spending so much time doing something that may not be right for your age, age. Or
no, you're still living in the spending a predominantly large amount of time in the outside world, not going enough.
In what?
Yes, and think about it. A simple example I'll give you, like a president of a country. It has to worry about every little thing, domestic and foreign. If a previous president sits there and gets upset every little thing, you did what you did, you have stepped back. You can only pray that your country and your current president can take you in the right direction. Are you going to rush into the White House and tell the president what to do? But today's parents at the age of 70, 80, 90, they want to tell their children what to do. They cannot trust that either they have not trained the children properly, or they don't trust the children who have now become adults that they can find their own solutions, just as you did. We, you and me, immigrants, we've come from a different country. We landed in a foreign country. We learned, we made some mistakes, but we don't want our children to make any mistakes. We constantly want to control how their experience should be.
The controlling mindset. We want to constantly trying to first of all control our, what kind of experiences we should get. If it's good, then it's good. If it's bad, we don't want it, right? Trying to control that. Then we're trying to control our kids' experiences and their life. Also, when we go in that age group, the older generations, at that point also we try to control how our kids and the grandchildren, how they are and everything. We don't leave that, right? We're not coming to any stage. We're always attached, and I think that is the cause of the misery, because ultimately we are always attached, and it is going to go away. That is the nature of existence. The change and the process of death and the process of changing the existence, right? Like your reality continuously, it keeps evolving and changing, so you cannot control that. Something you can't control.
One of the scriptures, Bhaja Govinda, we learned, right? MP3, muscle power, which is strength. With a certain age, that will start to deteriorate. Manpower, people around you, you may lose them to death, or may they walk away. Then money power. It's not always at your beck and call. It can come, it can go. So if you are so attached to it, when it goes, it pulls the ground from under you, carpet from under you. So there is a difference between attachment and love, which is what most people don't understand. When you love someone, you set them free. When you're attached, you want to control them. Right?
So I think as we explore the Vedic philosophy further, and we also are able to identify that what are the potential challenges that people are going through in today's world, we can go deeper in the future, episodes and sessions, and try to get some tips and tools as well, like some of them that can help us to really tackle these situations. The practical perspective, we'll also explore relationships in the next session. We'll explore how we can tackle the career related challenges, because many people are going through stress of layoffs, and because there's a rapid shift happening in the job market as well, because of the new technology, the changes in the technology space as well. And and also we'll explore deeper the karma, reincarnation, other aspects that has a lot of answer to our problems and challenges, and understand how we can change our reality
Using the
So,
wisdom of
Vedic philosophy.
Vedic philosophy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.